Hey, everybody. This is Steph, the Educator. Um, Welcome to Essential Pedagogy Podcast. Welcome. I'm here on another show. I'm here first and third Thursdays, and I um, have been inspired to bring to you the things that we go through inside of education, but also trying to bridge the gap between insiders and outsiders of education. And what I mean by outsiders is people who don't know all the ins and outs, lingo, and that could be parents, that could be friends of schools, just people who really are perplexed about the ongoings about school in America. I'm in Texas, and so I have been teaching for over 20 years, and I am starting a new transition. I have been accepted to go back to school for my master's for educational leadership. I'm excited about that. It was a lot of hard work. Right before I finished all the paperwork and requirements and things like that, I submitted those things. And then right after I submitted those things, I had a trip planned. And I just want to tell you that the trip was planned after spring break. It was not something that I planned personally. It was a wedding. And so since I was invited to this wedding, I had no control. It wasn't my wedding. Some people thought it was my wedding. I was like, I'm going to a wedding in Mexico. People were like, oh, you getting married, girl? No, I have not gotten married. But I was invited to a wedding. And since it was not my wedding, I did not have control over the date. And it was a wedding in a culture that was not my own culture, and it was a prolonged wedding. And so I was away for about 5 days. It was a fun time, but I'm telling you, the work and prepping to go, to be away, I just didn't have the luxury of putting a email message out there that I'm going to be out of the office for 5 days and y'all just hold off on sending me stuff. That does not happen in education. I did let people know. I had to reschedule some things for after I came back, and it was hit the ground running when I came back, but nothing stopped. Just because I wasn't there, nothing really stopped. But today I want to talk to you guys about being an advocate for students. And in order to be an advocate for students, you really have to be a good advocate for yourself as an educator. And for a very long time, I was not that. Today, I preserve my peace. Today, I take care of myself. I usually bring about 3 oranges or tangerines with me to work every day because I need that vitamin C pumped in my body and stay in my body and take my vitamin D gummies and um, my multivitamin every morning because I am pay attention to my body. Um, recently my wrist started hurting, and I I started to pay attention to my body to where I know take a step back and think, okay, I'm not just gonna notice that it hurts and keep pushing and be like, ooh, I wonder what that hope it go away. I'm not gonna hope for something to go away. I am gonna take notice about what have I been doing a lot of, and why would my wrist be hurting now? Yes, I've been doing a lot more computer work than I have been in the past, but I really don't believe that's it. I I really think it's turning the key in the door at school. I really believe it's that, like that motion of keep turning the key, opening the door, turning the key, opening the door. Um, I think in the last 2 or 3 years, um, probably four, I don't know. Years go by so fast. It's been a mandate to keep the doors locked in classrooms where students are in it. And even when they're not in it in the classrooms, it's just a protocol to keep your door locked because then you may forget to lock it once kids are in. So you don't want to be caught with your door unlocked because security will ding you, you get in trouble and all this kind of stuff. So we just lock it behind ourselves every single time, or leave it locked. And so when we come out, it locks. You got to make sure you have your key. So you're unlocking it every time you go in. Anyhow, I think it's the motion of me unlocking and opening the door, and that my shoulder is hurting too. So the door is very, very heavy. So I'm trying to come up with solutions on how to preserve myself so I can be a proper advocate for my students, right? The reason why I feel like I wanted to talk about advocacy is because um, I have had some instances where, from my direct impact and inquiries, there have been instances where children have been diagnosed, have been, had a second look at, glance at, not just glance, but testing. Um, got to see counselors. Um, there's so many children that needs advocacy, and not only the children that are quote unquote getting bullied, but the bullies are too. They need help. I had a very trying day today. I started out the day, ever since I got back from my trip in Mexico, I have been having a bout with hay fever. And the only reason why I know what this is in this pollen and the hay fever is because I dealt with it years ago when I was living in Houston. And nothing seems to help but this Sudafed stuff. And I ran out. So today I didn't have the Sudafed. I took Benadryl last night because I'm always prepping for school. That's another story I was talking to my producer about. I'm always in this mode. Oh, I got to get ready for school. I got to meal prep for school. I got to do this for school. I got to get ready for school. It just runs your life to the point where sometimes you're looking around, and if you're not careful, if you're not diligent in keeping yourself and being an advocate for yourself and saying, hey, what do I like to do? I need to pursue something I like to do this weekend, and not think about this lesson plan, think about the worksheets or the programming of this lesson in their Chromebooks and communicating. I need to set that aside and figure out, do I even like to paint? Do I? And so when you don't do that, then it's hard for you to come with a renewed spirit in mind for your job, so that you can look at other people with eyes of understanding. So being an advocate for students is not always being an advocate for the bullies. I mean, for the one that's being bullied, but also for the bully. So when you dig deeper, bullies have some qualities about them because of their feelings about themselves, or what they've been made to feel about themselves by grown-ups around them, or ignored, or what have you. But it's because of their environment mostly that students become bullies. I have a student where he confided in me that his mother left during the pandemic and never came back. So now he's with his father. And if I tell you, with every fiber of his body, he's angry. Very, 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 very angry. And he's a pleasant kid. He has a good heart. He's just a sweet kid. However, whenever he comes into the classroom, I described him from the very beginning. He's a Tasmanian devil. He's knocking down everything. He's slamming. You give him a book, he slammed the book. You get pencil, everything slam. And he's not doing it cussing, or his anger is coming out. He can't even hold it back. He's very, very angry. And I feel for him. Well, I've had to put my foot down with this child. I understand where he's coming from, but I also had to be an advocate for another student, because it was not a situation where it was that he was in the right. He was not. So took him in the hallway, and he's like, what do I do now? What do I do now? Because, I'm always redirecting him, but I never do. He's never gotten a detention from me. He's gotten a couple calls to his dad about his behavior or about his grades, but never anything serious about a write-up. This time I told him, I said, not only will I write you up and call your father, which he's very afraid that I'll call his father, I'm going to be disappointed in you, right? And he just cried. I said, I need you to adhere to these rules. Don't look at him. Don't talk to him. Don't sit by him. Do not do that. And a lot of times students will try to plead their case. But who was it? And they can't prove it. And I was like, it doesn't even matter. What you said hurt their feelings, and they told on you, right? But they did this first. And I said, did you tell on them? No, I didn't care. I said, but they cared. Do you see where the difference in this? And not until I told him they cared did he agree to the 3 things that I told him to. And I said, and if you break this agreement, I'm going to know about it. You know how I'm going to know about it? Because I know you know the same people that this other person knows, and they're going to tell me. And so he agreed to it. He went on about his business or whatever. And then, oh my gosh, this day has been not the best day for me. That was kind of early in the day. Then later on, he saw me outside. We had a fire drill or something of a sort, evacuation. And I'm trying to get my computer to work because we got to account for kids, or else we get dinged for that. There's just so much stress with this job that he came up to me and said, did you call my dad? Did you call my dad? I said, I didn't call your dad, not this time. But if I hear, I will call your dad. And not only will I call your dad, I have documentation, and I will write you up. Do not call any student any names anymore. Now, Bullying is not when you have a situation where one person calls you a name one time. Bullying is persistent, unrelenting, um, and can be proven that it's persistent and ongoing behavior. Now, it's not proven that it's persistent and ongoing in this instance, so we wouldn't call it bullying. It's a legal definition, y'all, because this stuff has gone to court before, right? And so, legal, you can't just call any behavior bullying. Okay, so I kind of went left on him, right? We were going back and forth, but it was in the hallway with all the cameras and all this. Wasn't I don't like going back and forth with a child. I feel like I am smart enough and I should keep a cool, calm disposition with a child where they can say whatever and I'll be like, okay, that's your choice. All right, that's your choice. Okay, well, I'm telling you what's going to happen if you choose to do this. But I got heated, and it's because I know some things about this child that I know he goes through and hurt for, and I pray for, right? And so it's easy for me to be like, I'm so disappointed. Why did you do this? Why? But in another side of the coin of advocacy, I was able to be an advocate for a child, and it took almost all year for change to happen where I got this child as a transfer student, and the child just came in with non-thriving grades, and I'm very perplexed. Like, so I called the previous teacher and I asked the teacher, hey, what have you heard from the parent? Are they going through hardships? Something's going on. Is there something I don't know? Did I miss something? And that teacher said, I don't think the parent cares. I haven't heard from them. And so I said, did you call the parent? No. They don't care. They see the grades. And I said, you don't care. At least make a phone call. But in 9 weeks, you make no phone call. 8 weeks, you make no phone call at all. You make no email attempt, no contact whatsoever. So I make contact with the parent and I talk and I say, hey, I need to see you face to face. This is kind of important to me. There was a language barrier. We went on and had conversation and found out, thank you. Found out Miss Smith, Kia Smith, you're so sweet. Found out that the parent was a single parent and worked a lot, and this child is the youngest child, and they felt like the child went through a change and when she changed schools. And so I was like, well, I'm concerned. I'm really, really concerned. And I alerted some staff, and there was a little bit of a digging to take place. And this child finally has gotten some help. And I think I found out about this back in October. And now, there's so many protocols and things you have to go through and wait for this. And the child needs to talk to this person, and then, okay, we need to talk to that person. And we need to talk to the people at the school that she previously went to, and find out what they observed, and just see what's going on with this child. Well, now the child is getting the help that they deserve. And that's another part of advocacy. Is not being seen. If this child didn't get any help, they would have gone to high school and falling through the cracks, probably drop out way, way, way early, or just wouldn't have a way of catching up, or uh, it just wouldn't have gone well for the child. So parents, what I am asking you is to spend adequate time with your children. It is super important that you do this. And adequate time is not just, oh, I saw you, I told you to go to bed, and I saw you for a few minutes in the morning before we go to school or work. Um, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about deciding that your child is the most important thing right now, not getting a husband, not making a certain dollar amount. I know we need to take care of ourselves, but sometimes we need to live in a smaller place. We need to live in a less elaborate place. We need to drive a less elaborate car in order to spend more time with our children and have conversations with our children. I will tell you, um, I drove a Honda everywhere. Look, I drove my Honda Civic and I had my children in that Honda Civic, and I had football, basketball, whatever ball and things, equipment inside, and stadium seats and blankets and all kinds of things and junk in that car. I drove not a flattering car for many years, because what was more important is for me to get from here to here and to make sure my children got there on it with a reliable set of wheels and not necessarily a fancy set of wheels. Um, I, we can't be concerned about what other people are doing. We need to be concerned about our children. There are so many children with issues at our school that cannot be ignored, and I cannot stress it enough. Just because you feel like your child is okay, they go to school with people whose children are not okay. So it's so important for you to keep checking in, for you to have uh, valid conversations with them through reading fictional or non-fictional text together and discussing what happens to the characters in those books, so that you can get a bird's eye view about what's going on with your child, because they're not going to tell you everything. They're not. And they may tell you things when things get out of hand, when they have developed anxiety, when they have decided to take things in their own hand and go to a school and do some things. It is so, so very important. So, um, when when people say that teachers get enough time off or it's much more than anybody else, I just want everybody to remember that we start our day before most people, because guess who's dropping off their children? The people who got to go to work, but we're already there to receive them. And then we get off and barely enough time to catch a bank if we remember. Because after a day of crying physically or inside, because you're a child, you've heard about a sad story about a child, you see sad eyes in a child that you've been teaching for 6, 7 months, you have been asked a million questions all day. You've had to think through problems. You had to write several passes to the nurse, ask, interviewing people. Do you really need to go to the nurse? What's hurting? How long has it been hurting? Was it hurting before you left home? Right? So many things. This is a job where not only have I been worn out physically, because I'm literally walking around the classroom and outdoors when fire drills are happening, to the cafeteria, from the cafeteria, to this, to that, all day long on my feet. And my mind is running to the point where if I don't put it in my calendar to call to get internet installed, it's not going to happen because, oh, somebody has an emergency. Oh, somebody needs a Band-Aid. Oh, I need you to go get some Band-Aids and bring them back because I ran out of Band-Aids and forgot to replenish my Band-Aids. Oh, somebody had a blood spill. Oh, that has to be taken care of by a person with the chemicals to clean up blood. You can't just do it with some wipes. You can't just do it with some wipes. Blood-borne pathogens. It has to be cleaned up a certain way. If someone vomits, you don't know what's going to happen. So you got to be ready. And part of being ready is not having a life and fighting to try to have one in this late age of mine. I'm finding that it's important because my identity can't be the teacher, Miss Powell, until I die, as far as what I do every day. I'm a person. I'm a friend. I'm an aunt. I'm a mom. I'm all these things. And I'm also an advocate for students. So if you want to hear more about education, the ins and out of education, I could go on and on about funding. Oh my gosh, y'all. Harvard is digging their heels in against the stance of DEI, and I'm so proud of that university for doing so. And I can't say enough. Now it the administration is digging their heels in too, but you know what? I am a believer, and I have faith that good will win over evil. Good will win. Fairness will win over unjust actions. I'm a believer in that. And I am going into this resurrection season having faith that even though there will be transitions, and even though there are already transitions in education, that there is still good that is going to come from education, and there's still work to be done. And as long as there's work to be done, then I'm going to be an advocate for our students. I'm going to do what I can, and that's part of the reason why I'm going back to school. Yes. I am gearing up for a very busy, rigorous summer, and I'm sure I'm going to have so many topics to talk about because I'm going to be learning so many things. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Um, so the school I'm going to is going to be mostly in person, and I'm so excited about that because I'm so old school. I'm so excited about having like my old school laptop and sitting and listening to a lecture and recording and all of these things. I'm so excited about that. And I just want to get any questions you might have that I could answer in my new learning. I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited about it. I want to learn so much so I can help so many. It is educational leadership, and I do want to be in leadership and education. So I'm at my big old age, I'm going back to school, and I just have to remind myself, Kentucky Fried Chicken, he didn't do it until he was old. So here I am. I'm doing it. Y'all follow me on YouTube as well. I really appreciate my producer. Like, we have great heart-to-heart talks. I'm so grateful for Kesha. She's a doll. I don't know what else I could say. Guys, follow me on YouTube and like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. That's all I have to say. Until next time, guys. Please, please have compassion for others. Try to put yourself in other people's shoes. And think about what the good Lord has done for all of us in this resurrection season. Okay, until next time, this is Steph, the Educator on Essential Pedagogy. Talk to you soon.